Right, hello, welcome back to our Cisco Certified Network Associate 2025 guide. So this will be our day 4, episode 4. And for today's topic, we're going to talk about or discuss about, I think I prefer the white one. We're going to talk about or discuss what is a network switch or switching. And before we proceed on that, again, um, this entire series, we're aiming to ready you guys to take a CCNA exam. So we're going to cover all the topics that this CCNA 2025 has, and then also provide you the practical application of these concepts. Um, my main goal here is to really provide uh, knowledge for those people who are going to shift to a networking industry, or maybe same like probably you're going to or just recently graduated and don't know what kind of industry you're planning to take. So this also would be introduction for you guys to know what is the networking side of our industry. Okay, so let's start. Um, Network switching. So as we all know, if you've follow our entire series, so network switch. This is the actual switch itself. So that's the most common device that you're going to see. I think this one is a catalyst switch. It's like an introductory model of Cisco switch or a network switch. But what is a switch, or why do we need to study switching? So for you guys here, so basically a switch, uh, these are like network devices with multiple ports. Main reason why we have to study this because in every setup or in every company, there's a switch somewhere along with that place connected, or in your computers. For sure, there would be cabling on it. So somewhere along the building, it will probably crawling inside the walls itself, and then going to a specific place wherein usually like a server room, wherein all those servers networking devices are all connected. So that's why we have to study this, because in the field of technology, we're going to be the one who's going to manage this device. So how are we going to manage this device? What are the configuration that we need in order for us to start knowing what a network switch is? Okay, so if you've used packet tracer, switches is like you just have to drag. You just have to choose network devices and then switches, then just drag any of the models, and you're going to have access on the switch itself, like this one. So this is the actual uh, prompt, or this is like the configure. This is where the interface of that switch is. But how are we? But how can we actually connect? Because like what I always tell my students, these are all simulations, so not everything here is the same with the real setup. So let's say in real life, just to give you an idea, um, we're usually using a tool such as a putty. So this one. So this is a tool that we're using, and if you have a serial cable, you have to go to the device manager, go with the serial cabling, and because you need to have that serial connected first, and you're going to see it somewhere here, like the same with this one, and you're going to see the COM port of that device, the serial line of that device. So if it's 4 showing here on the device manager, you have to press 4, and as long as the cabling, the console is connected to the network device and open, you'll be able to connect to that device. The same thing on what you guys are seeing now. Okay, and there's 2 ways to access a Cisco device. So the first one is what we just mentioned. So that's using console, and the other would be IP address. But how can we access a device using IP address if there's no configuration yet? So that's where the console is for. Usually, we're using that purpose if we just recently have that device or recently bought that device and we don't have any configuration at it. So the only option is to go with your laptop, bring your laptop in, get a console port and make sure that it's connected, and that's how you will be able to connect to that device. And also for a console setup, this is what you call OOB. So ibig sabihin out of band access. And when we say out of band access, it's the same on what you guys are seeing here. So even the boot, even how the OS being decompressed, the actual setup itself, you're able to see all of it. That's what an OOB is. But if you're going to compare that with IP address, if the device is down or disconnected, or it's shut down, even you're going to be disconnected. So that's the only difference. Now, let's set up this device. So I've listed like the basic configuration first. So I'll start with the host name. So once you're in the device, you're going to see a prompt here. So basically, there's a different privilege access. I'm not going to define each one of it, but the idea is you can execute specific commands for a specific privilege. Like for this one, this is like the user, I believe, user privilege, and you can use such like show version, like the simple command for you to check the details of this Cisco device. Now, if we're going to go with the configuration, you have to type enable. So it will put you on a different privilege, meaning different access. You're going to see the difference from greater than symbol going to the pound. So this will gives you more privilege, but since we're doing the actual configuration, so we need to jump a little more. So that's going to be config terminal, and you're going to see that it will change from pound going to the config pound. So this is your guide or your reference to say, okay, I'm ready configuring my Cisco device. So for the hostname, it's as simple as typing hostname and then the name of your device. Let's say this would be for accounting switch. So I just renamed the name of the switch. So it's not there's really not configuration about it. It's just as simple as changing the host name of the device. It's really important to make sure to properly label your work, because right now if we're just testing, basically this one doesn't matter at all. But if you're handling hundreds or thousands of devices, the labeling would be very, very important factor. In our setup, usually, like let's say we're handling devices in the US, so usually our setup would be, if it's in Las Vegas, we're going to type Las Vegas, and then what kind of switch is this one? Is this for access? Is this for distribution? Is this for core? And then type if it's one or it's a LV core 2. So remember the core, it's like the layer in the 3-tier Cisco hierarchy model, which was discussed during the previous topic. But what I'm trying to point out is, in real life, you have to properly provide labeling for you to make sure you know which devices are you configuring in. Okay. Now going back, let's go to the banner. So banner is as simple as like the interface that you're going to see upon logging into the device or before logging into the device, like banner MOTD, and you can press question mark. For the question mark, it will give you hint idea or what you need to input for this command. So for this one, you need to use a delimiting character. So for my delimiting character, I can use pound, but you can choose whatever you want. But the first character would be the one that Cisco will identify as the delimiting character, and it will be the reference for the starting and for the endpoint. So for this one, I'm just going to say, warning, do not access if you don't have a privilege. I think this one is good. I think I will scare people now. Wait, this one. And then for me to see that, you just have to exit, and you'll see right away in the prompt that a warning, do not access if you don't have a privilege. So that's the banner. And next would be focusing on the password. So I decided to just focus on the password itself. So by simply creating a user account, so enable config terminal, and then creating a password would be creating, let's say, Cisco, and then password, we're going to type admin. So exit. So right now we're not able um, to use or to prompt that password because we need to set up the telnet access first. Because remember, in a simulation tool, um, this is not how the real thing work. You need to have uh, a computer, then you need to connect a certain cable in order for you to connect to the device. But since it's a simulation tool, that's why it's not prompting as the username and password that we just have created. But before that, before we can test the username and password, we need to set up communication first. So for this one, it's the telnet access. So I'm opening up our communication for telnet. So this is where the IP address that I'm talking about to configure, because again, by default, you don't have IP address configured. So what the first thing that you ever do, even if you're going to configure a real switch itself, is to make sure that there will be IP on it. Why? Because remember that most of these switches or device, usually they are connected to a data center. And that's it's a very very cold place. And imagine you are connecting it to your laptop and doing all the configuration with the console port. So imagine the place we're in. Probably me, when we do have or accessing data center, we're just like standing or not. If not standing, we're just like sitting on the floor. So that's why you have to set up the IP first, so that once it's connected to the network, you can able to just do it on your own personal or on your work machine, and you don't have to go to the data center or to the server room just for you to make any changes on this device. Okay, so let's start, or let's configure the telnet access so that we can navigate and make changes to our work machine. Let's say this is our work machine, and let's say this is located on the physical or like a server room. Okay, so how to do that? It's going to be enable again, just a privileged access, configure terminal, line VTY 0 to 4. So what does it mean is that line, we're choosing the type of communication. So VTY, it's a virtual connectivity. 04, it means the number of concurrent users that are able to access this device using virtual connection, like the telnet or SSH. So let's say you have 10 network admins, and if they connect all of them at the same time, that will gives it an error, because this line VTY means 0 to 4. It means that it will open the maximum number of connection from 0 to 4, which is equivalent to 5. Okay, so line VTY 4. So let's put check what are the command that we're able to execute. So it should be logging. I think okay, login. I forgot it for a while. Okay, so we've created a local account. So in order for us, we're already on the VTY04. So we've created a local account a while ago. That's a Cisco and admin. So we have to prompt the connection that, okay, every SSH, every telnet, every virtual connectivity, you can log in using local account. So that's the term itself. So you log in using the local account. Now, there's one more thing here. Since we're connecting using a computer, so we need to access it using an IP address. So show enable show IP interface brief. This will show all the configuration for the IP addresses. So right now we don't have any IP address set up, so I'm going to configure IP here on FA01. That's where the PC is connected. So configure terminal interface FA01. Then let's say we're going to create as add IP address. So IP address Okay. 192.168.1.1. Oh, yeah. Depending on the model of the switch, sometimes they do not allow IP address on the physical port itself. So unlike with the routers, you can configure IP address on it without any problem. But for this one, we need to create a workaround since this is a switch. So I introduce the topic of VLAN. So VLAN is a virtual uh, LAN or virtual network in some point, and then on this one we can create a virtual interface so that we can um, use an IP address to connect to our device. But to give you an idea what a VLAN is, usually VLAN we use it to separate. Like in real life, we're going to use it to separate department. Let's say we have VLAN for IT, we have VLAN for HR, we have VLAN for accounting. So that's how we usually use it because different VLAN means they will not be able to connect. It's like a form of security in some sense. Okay, so we're going to create a VLAN here. So go to the interface again. So interface fast Ethernet 01 switch port access VLAN. Let's say I'm going to create a VLAN 10. So there's no VLAN 10 ready, but it's going to be created right away. Okay, and then exit. I'm going to interface VLAN 10. So this is where I'm going to put my IP address. So IP address 192.168.1.255.255.255.0. Exit. And if you have to check it, show IP interface brief, you're going to see that your VLAN 10 is already have an IP address of 1.1, and then you have to check your FA01, so it should be on the VLAN 10. So the only thing that we need to do now is to configure the IP address. So that's 192.168.1.1, so I can use 1.2, and we're going to be on the same network. So let me test. To check your IP address, IP config. So this is my IP 1.2, and if I have to ping the switch IP, this is basically pinging it 1.1, making sure that there's a connectivity before I do the actual telnet. Okay, so as you can see, there's a response already. So I can now try if we're able to set up the telnet properly. So telnet. So telnet and the IP. So telnet 192. Telnet 192.168.1.1. So it's prompting me to my credentials. So the one that we've created would be Cisco and admin. So from this one, from our PC, from our work machine, we're able now to configure the Cisco device from our personal machine. Again, the main reason why we have to do this initial configuration, even in the real setup, you don't want to configure on a data center. Once you put it on a rack, on a server, or on a place on the server room, you'd like to set up the IP, then do the rest of the configuration on your personal machine. So as long as they're connected to the same network, you're able to do all the configuration. Okay, so that's for telnet password and enable password. So for enable password, let's say enable. So for this one, we need to set up the enable. That's why we cannot access the configuration itself. So we need to go back here and then configure terminal, and then simple as enable password, and then type what's the password. Okay, let's say 12345. So that's my enable password. So let's go back to my PC. So enable, the password I set would be 1 2 3 4 and 5, and now I'm able to log into a different privilege wherein I continue my configuration. So what's the other? So IP configuration. So we're done with the IP configuration. So if I'm going to like show IP interface from my PC, I'm going to see that this is the IP that I set up, and currently I'm logged in from my PC, which is 1.2, but I'm making configuration to my PC, going to the network switch. Then check connectivity and save configuration. So for check connectivity, That's the same. I can actually ping myself here 1.2, so you can do the configuration, and also don't forget to save your configuration. So copy running configuration startup config. So that's the command to save. So just have to press enter to save your configuration. Because if you're not going to save it, uh, every time that it reboots, all the configuration would be erased. So what this command means is that you're copying the running, which is what you just configured on the startup config. Because every time that this device would boot or start up and it was not saved, so basically you're going to start from the start. So let's just try a basic configuration. Let's say host name, account switch, change from PC. Okay, what's that? Host. Okay, I need to go to the config terminal first. I forgot. So config terminal. So let's say changing host name, account, counting switch, change from my PC. Okay. So as simple as that. So I'm making configuration change from our own personal computer. I think that's where the goal is before we start with the long configurations for the Cisco devices. Okay. Exit, exit, exit. I think that's all for today. So that's the basic configuration on switching. We're going to discuss a little bit more about uh, switching next time, and maybe deeper concepts, and how can we apply it in real life, and also how can we apply it or test it on our simulation tool. Right. So again, thank you so much for listening to our lectures. So I'm JJ. I'm going to sign out for now. Thank you.